It is the Jesse Kelly Show, final hour of the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Put a smile on your face. Here's what we have this hour. We're going to talk a little bit about this Tish James stuff. We'll applaud Republicans for changing their mentality in dealing with the press. That's a very, very good thing. More moving out of the blue areas and why that's necessary, emails, all that and so much more coming up in the final hour of the world famous Jesse Kelly Show. Now, I need to explain something about these Tish James charges. And she is in very, very serious trouble. Very serious trouble. Here's how it works. If you haven't ever gotten a home loan, you may not understand it. So I just need to kind of get the basics out of the way first. If you have, you'll already know this is true. I have had to move across the country multiple times. Therefore, I've done this multiple times. When you take out a loan for a home, which we all have to do, unless you're writing a check for it. If you take out a loan for a home, you have to, in no uncertain terms, you have to disclose whether that is going to be your primary residence or not. Why? What's the deal? Well, if I'm buying a home and I'm going to live in it, and I only have one home. I've never had two. I don't really intend to have two. If I have one home and that's where I'm going to live, then there are different rules that apply as far as loans go and taxes go. There's different rules that apply if I'm living in the home. For instance, down payments, things like that. Financially, there is a large difference between buying a home you're going to live in and buying a second home that maybe you're going to rent out. All right? If you're buying a home you're going to rent out, that's going to mean different rules. The allegations on Tish James, from what I understand, are James. Tish James are open and shut because allegedly she said she was going to live there. She not only didn't live there, she rented it out. And the financial/tax records show she rented it out. Now, I need to explain something else. It is not at all something you can accidentally lie about on your mortgage paperwork. Chris, you want to back me up on this? That's from Jewish producer Chris, so you can take it to the bank. What? Chris, that was a compliment. You can't go, oh, whoops, did my pen slip? You have to lie with intent on your forms to have this happen. And no, contrary to what you may see on the news, this isn't something that, everyone does it.
Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government.
No, I not only have never lied on mine, I don't know anybody who has. Because, like I said, it's so easily verifiable. There are crimes you can get away with, which are vague. Maybe you can hide them. Every mortgage loan application I've ever done, I guarantee you, in 20 years of, not quite 20, probably 15 years of home ownership, they're all still out there. If I lied 15 years ago, you would be able to go dig it up. It's not like they threw it all away. No, everyone doesn't do it. And no, it's not a tiny technical violation.
But look, this is serious. As you said, bank fraud carries a penalty of 30 years in prison. Not that a person convicted on a first offense would get that sentence, but it's an extremely serious use of the Justice Department to prosecute someone for what looks like a technical violation. And again, the ill-gotten gains alleged here, less than $19,000, under circumstances which we can all see are highly, highly questionable.
That was MSNBC doing the best they can do to tell your liberal Aunt Peggy that it's no big deal. It is a big deal. It's not a technical violation. It's a felony. It is a felony to do what she did. Oh, yeah, I love that part too, Chris. Hey, it's just $19,000. Oh, well, just chump change like that then. Never mind. Just 19 grand. It's a big, big, big deal. And here's what's been happening. Remember, obviously, I'm not going to point out hypocrisy. This is not what I'm doing. You know, we don't do that here. Try not to do that here. This was Tish James back in 2023.
No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law.
Everyone's pointing that out. What a hypocrite. But here's the problem. Not just for Democrats, not just for Tish James. It's a problem for the United States of America. We've had this talk before. Democrats have spent 10 years, a decade. The elite communists have been lying to their base about what Donald Trump is and who Donald Trump is. 10 years of Nazi, Hitler, fascist, Nazi, Hitler, fascist. This is the end of the world. Nazi, Hitler, Nazi, Hitler, Nazi, Hitler, Nazi, Hitler. Democrats are inevitably going to be more programmable than Republicans. They're going to be more herd animals. Those 10 years of Nazi, Hitler, Nazi, Hitler, Nazi, Hitler. What it has done is it has created a fire inside of the Democrat base. Now, as we've talked about many times before, all Democrats care about is getting Trump. Get Trump. Stop Trump. Fight him harder. Fight him harder. Get him. Get him. Get him. Get Trump. Get Trump. Get Trump. You have to get Trump. All the complaints in the polls show Democrats think their politicians are too weak. You're not getting him hard enough. Get him harder. What's the result of this? Well, when Joe Biden and the communists took over and Donald Trump was out of power, if you were a Democrat at any level in this country, city, state, county, federal, if you were an AG, DA, didn't matter. You ran for office on, I'll fight Trump. I'll fight Trump as the dog catcher. He won't get any dogs here. If you were a DA, an AG, I'll fight Trump. I'll prosecute him. Elect me and I'll get Trump. From senators, all of them, I'll get Trump. Vote for me. I'll get Trump. I'll finally be the one who gets Trump. That's how you motivate Democrats to vote for you. That's how you win elected office. Now that the animals have been programmed to believe they're fighting Nazi Hitler, Nazi Hitler, Nazi Hitler, now they demand that of you. Tish James, she is the Attorney General for one of the biggest, most powerful states, New York, in the United States of America. And it's not just that she did it after she was elected, she ran on it. Vote for me and I'll get Trump. That's how she got into office. I'll get Trump. I'm going to be the one to get Trump. I'll get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. Vote for me, get Trump. She gets elected and does, honestly, you can almost say to her credit, does what she promised. Wages all-out war against Donald Trump up to and including sitting in the courtroom while he's in there with this smug, satisfied look on her face. And now you find yourself in a pickle if you're a Democrat politician. You have run your entire life, every platform, and they're all still doing this. Every platform of Democrats in this country is get Trump. Get Trump, stop Trump, get Trump, stop Trump. But Donald Trump is not broadly unpopular with the American people. So what you've done is you've pulled yourself completely out of step with the American people. And I'm not saying everyone loves Trump at all, but I think his last approval was something like 51, 52%. He is not an unpopular president. Your entire platform is get the guy who the majority of Americans are happy with. How does that make you look? They created the monster. We've talked about it many times before. I talked about it in hour one. The elite communists, with this endless apocalyptic language, they have created a monster they now have to placate. They have to feed that monster. They're not in control of him anymore. And it's put them in an unbelievable bind. Speaking of, I brought up Abigail Spanberger in the first hour because she's running for governor in Virginia. There was a moment in that debate. There was a moment in that debate where she debated Winsome Sears. It is going to, it's the perfect example of what I just talked about. How Democrats have created a monster with their base that now has to be fed, a monster they can't control, and it's really bad for them. I'll play that for you in a second. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful, fantastic Monday. Remember, you can email the show, jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Here's the perfect example of what I was just talking about before we went into the break. Democrats, elite communists in the media, politicians, Hollywood. 10 years of Nazi Hitler, Nazi Hitler, Nazi Hitler has created a monster. The monster is now the Democrat voter. The Democrat voter who believes Nazi Hitler, Nazi Hitler, Nazi Hitler's in the White House. And if Nazi Hitler's in the White House, then anything and everything is acceptable to stop him. We have to stop Nazi Hitler. This has turned Democrats violent. Now, not all of them commit acts of violence by the grace of God, but a shocking number of them approve of it when it happens. Remember Jay Jones, that Jay Jones story? It was big in Virginia. You might not care about it, and it's fine if you don't. He's running to be Attorney General of Virginia. His text messages leak where he's talking about shooting kids. He's talking about killing Republicans, even up to and including children. He's talking about killing Republicans. It's just some of the most disgusting talk ever. Abigail Spanberger is the Democrat running to be governor there. As you can imagine, that's going to come up during the debate. Now, that's a pretty easy thing to say. No, I don't talk like that, and I don't support anyone talking like that. That's horrible. No, that's awful. That's easy for you to say. It's easy for me to say. Listen to her, and then we'll talk about why.
Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public was unaware who had knowledge of these text messages for many years.
What did you do about it?
I learned of these text messages the day that they came out, and I denounced them as soon as I learned of them.
She denounces murder.
And importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably for political reasons. But the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
Ms. Spanberger, I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
We are all running our individual races. I believe my opponent has said that about her lieutenant governor nominee.
Ms. Earl Sayers.
And it's up to every person.
It goes, I'll stop, because they just keep talking over each other. Why not just pull the endorsement? Why not just publicly say, hey, no, that's a horrible thing. Talking about someone's kids? No, I don't support him. Good luck to him. I don't support him anymore. Why can't she say that? Everyone's blaming Abigail for this, but you're blaming the wrong entity. Abigail Spanberger cannot condemn Jay Jones for talking about killing his Republican opponents, because the Democrats who Abigail Spanberger needs to vote for her, they talk the same way. And they agree with what Jay Jones said. Everyone's putting this on Abigail, and don't get me wrong, she's despicable. You can dump on Abigail all you want. Abigail's not the problem. Abigail's a prisoner of the Democrat voter base. And as I have explained to you a million times, maybe you live in a blood red area and so you don't understand. I have lived in blue areas. I have worked. I have hung out in Democrat circles before. I am explaining to you right now, this is how Democrats talk all the time now. All the time. Maybe he'll get shot. Hopefully someone kills him. Hopefully he dies. Hopefully he has a heart attack. Hopefully he gets hit by a car. Man, it'd be nice if he died. They all talk like this all the time. When you woke up, if you study, and I know you do, if you study the news and you study headlines, if you woke up and you read those J. Jones texts, what did you do? You would, oh my gosh, that's terrible, didn't you? You looked and said, gosh, that is sick and deranged. Democrats didn't. Because that's how they talk to all their friends. And that's how they want their politicians to think. That's how they want their politicians to talk. Abigail Spanberger doesn't even have the option of pulling the endorsement because that's what her voters want. That sucks, right? It is what it is, though. Let's do a couple emails. Dear Sombrero Burgermeister, do you ever dream of your time in Iraq? Love the show, despise the commies. Pure talk is great. Occasionally. Not that common. What's that? What, Chris? What? Why would you dream about it? Anytime you go through something big in your life, I mean, I'm not a dream expert, man. I don't freaking know. I don't know. I bet when you go through big things in your life, they tend to stay with you and pop up from time to time. I don't know why we dream, what we dream. And it's not common. I'm fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine. It's not common, but it does happen. All right. Ayanna Presley gives us something wonderful. And we'll get to that in more emails. Next. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a fantastic Monday. Remember, if you miss me, you want to talk, love, hate, death threats, you can email those into jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Communists don't change tactics quickly. When a tactic has worked for a long time, they tend to stick with it long past its expiration date. And you see this now with a lot of these race communists.
Tish James. These allegations against her are baseless. Donald Trump seems to be obsessed with Black women who are effective and good at doing their jobs. But these attacks against Tish James, against James Comey, should be of concern.
Against Black women. You can't do that to Black women. That doesn't work anymore. But what makes me angry is not that she says it. She's detestable. What makes me angry is she says it because she learned it. And she learned it because it worked for a long, long, long time in this country drowning in disgusting, despicable white guilt. That kind of thing opened up a lot of doors for people like Ayanna Presley for way too long. And now they'll just reach in their back pocket and pull it out at any turn. I wanted to play one more thing before we do emails. Remember this. We haven't had this talk in a while about communists. It is a religion of destruction and domination. Dominating everything is the only acceptable outcome to them. If you fought a war for 100 islands, and at the end of it, you had 99 of the 100, you would consider that an amazing success. You'd be happy. You'd throw a big party. If the communists fought a war for 100 islands, and at the end of it, he had 99, he would be miserable, angry, because he needed all of them, deserved all of them. Listen to Gwen Moore.
We do well. I appreciate CNN, but I'll tell you, Republicans own most of the media. They control Fox News and X or Meta, whatever you call it. Right now the president has purchased or allowed his allies to purchase TikTok.
Republicans own most of the media. And then she lists two things. And you start screaming at the radio, what? You have everything else from the Associated Press to every major network to all the news. You have everything. But the communist doesn't look at it like you look at it. They're not trying to split things with you. In fact, this has been a huge holdup for the Republican Party, is understanding this concept. They're not trying to get along with you. They're not trying to share a country. They're not trying to get by. They're trying to take all of it. That's the only thing they know. When you complain about media bias, you're 100% genuine. But when the communist complains about media bias, he's being genuine too. Remember that. They mean it. For these people, remember, it's a censorship religion. If even a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of the media is outside of their control, they worry that the truth will get out, their lies will be exposed, and their religion will collapse. It is a constant concern when the truth is against you. When you have built a world of lies, even a tiny ray of truth can bring the entire world crashing down. That's why they get so worried when there's ever a channel anywhere that tells the truth about something. I mean, really, wrap your mind around this. I told you about Tish James and her charges. And the allegations, if they're all true, are black and white. She's gone. Black and white. You lie on a mortgage application. But your liberal Aunt Peggy isn't listening to me right now. She's listening to MSNBC.
But look, this is serious. As you said, bank fraud carries a penalty of 30 years in prison. Not that a person convicted on a first offense would get that sentence, but it's an extremely serious use of the Justice Department to prosecute someone for what looks like a technical violation. And again, the ill-gotten gains alleged here, less than $19,000, under circumstances which we can all see are highly, highly questionable.
You have been exposed to the truth. You know, bank fraud to the tune of $19,000 is not just a felony. It's kind of a serious one. That's a serious financial crime. Your liberal Aunt Peggy has no idea. Her media sphere tells her it's a, quote, technical violation. She even probably thinks everyone does it.
What Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government.
Everyone does it. No, I don't. Jesse, what is the best? This is a really good question. Jesse, what's the best dip for potato chips? We're not talking about what, Chris? We're not talking about Doritos or tortilla chips, but plain old wavy chips. Look, he goes on to say a ranch dip is very good. I'm gonna hit you with something that you might be angry about, but it's true. Yeah, I like a good French onion dip. I like all that stuff is fine. Have you ever had a blue cheese dip? Hold on, Chris. Listen to me. What, Corey? Not you too. Okay, there's a little bit of staff pushback, but we're going to ignore them for a moment. If you find a restaurant who does it, or you can do it yourself at home, I would highly recommend it. Find a restaurant that takes green onions, chops them up, and then has some form of liquefied blue cheese. It is so good on a potato chip. Yes, it is, Chris. You've never even had it. I don't even think you're allowed to have it. That doesn't sound kosher. Is it? Are you allowed to have it? There's no way you're allowed to have blue cheese. There's no possible way. Anyway, it's so good. A good blue cheese dip. Hey, Jesse, any chance you can do... You people... Any chance you can do a history lesson on the Christian Crusades? I'd love to learn more about the topic, and the way you do history leaves me wanting more. I can't do a history episode on every single subject underneath the sun. By the way, remember last week we did a two-parter on the siege of Malta, and all that's free. We don't charge for any of that stuff, nor do we ever have any intention of doing so. I guess you never know what's going to happen, but you can go download the podcast, iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, and you can go enjoy it. And like everything else we try to do on this show, you can listen with your children. Even though that one did involve some heads getting chopped off, you can listen with your children. We're never going to take it to a place where your kids can't listen. Now, that being said, I made a promise to somebody, a listener. He emailed in because it was near and dear to his heart about me doing a history show on Australia, the bridge over the River Kwai, essentially, on Allied POWs building the railway by the Japanese. I'm telling you right now, that is probably going to come this week. That might even come tomorrow. It's going to depend on the news. That is going to be heavy. It's going to be a little gross, a little hard to hear. It will still be kid-friendly. Don't worry. That one's going to be, it's a really ugly topic. It's a really heavy thing, and a lot of people don't know about it, and they should. It's very sad. I'm not saying it's coming tomorrow, but it might come tomorrow. All right? It is the Jesse Kelly Show, final segment of the world famous Jesse Kelly Show, but we shall return tomorrow. You can email us, jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Let's call this one today's version of Get Out of That Blue Area While You Still Can. Listen to this story about these foster parents.
The heart of the issue, the Marvins refused to sign DCF's LGBTQIA+ non-discrimination policy, which states a foster family must accept a child's assertion of their LGBTQIA+ identity, address children by their names and pronouns, and support gender-neutral practices regarding clothes and physical appearance.
We had asked, is there any sort of accommodation? Can you waive this at all? We will absolutely love and support and care for any child in our home, but we simply can't agree to go against our Christian faith in this area. And we're ultimately told, no, you must sign the form as is, or else you will be delicensed.
Massachusetts won't let you foster kids unless you're willing to be pro-tranny. Unreal how demonic these blue areas have gotten. On the good front, peace today.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. It's more obvious than ever that the productive and responsible nations of this region should not be enemies or adversaries. You should be partners and eventually even friends, and that's what's going to happen. I know it.
He also said this. I don't know why. It just made me snicker. Not because he said anything dumb or wrong. Just the way Trump looks at it. Trump looks at Palestine and he says to himself, you know what? These beachfront hotels would kill here.
Instead of making weapons and missiles, the wealth of this region should flow to schools and medicine, industry, and frankly, the new hot thing, artificial intelligence. All of the countries in the Middle East, it could have, what we're doing now, it could have happened a long time ago, but it was strangled and set back almost irretrievably by the administrations of Barack Obama and then Joe Biden. It was there was a hatred toward Israel. There was an absolute hatred.
You know why Democrats can't do foreign policy? Well, at least the the real communist types, the Obamas, the people around Biden. There's a reason why Democrats constantly fail at foreign policy. The base of any good foreign policy, no matter what country, no matter what time period, is love of country. Do you love your country. You have to come at foreign policy from a love of your country, or your foreign policy will fail. Well, that is something that's not in any of these Democrats now. In fact, they hate the friggin' place. Democrats can't do foreign policy because Democrats sympathize with the enemies of the country. This is why they constantly get us into these horrible pickles. I can't believe Iran would... Really? You can't believe it? Everyone else knew it. Why didn't you? Well, Democrats feel the same way about America that Iran does. That's the truth. Oh, and I mentioned I was going to play this earlier. Republicans are getting so much better at treating the media like the enemy instead of somebody who's just a little bit biased. George Stephanopoulos has been a communist hack for years and years and years, masquerading as a journalist. And he's been fairly open about how much he loves the left and hates the right, yet he keeps getting these big, high-up ABC gigs where he pretends to be a journalist. He tries it with J.D. Vance. Here's how it goes.
Here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No,
Well,
George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
Then he cuts off the vice president. But you know what's so wonderful about that? It's not just how J.D. Vance answered it. How upset George Stephanopoulos got. Because he did. If you watch the interview, I'm not going to play it all for you. He hounded him over and over and over again about this completely made-up story about Tom Homan accepting a bribe. And of course, like all these fake communists, he acted like, I'm just asking questions. And they've always gotten away with that with Republicans who will get exasperated and they'll answer the question and they'll get exasperated and they'll start whining, but not anymore. Now we are changing.
Here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No,
Well,
George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
So annoyed. It's so great.
Now,
Here's a headline.
you know the thing. Headlines we didn't get to.
Newsom signs law creating reparations bureau as state faces billions in debt. It's bad enough to have to suffer under a Democrat governor. It's 10 times as bad to have to suffer under a Democrat governor who's running for president, because then you have to have extra delusions piled on top of it. Just absolutely brutal. Naked bike riders in Portland demonstrate against federal troops. I just don't understand how anybody besides Lindsey Graham would enjoy a naked bike ride. I will get back with you tomorrow, all right? That's all.